The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Post-Debate Central. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
What a night we had last night, Chip. You must admit it was a good night for all.
Well, I think even, I think we did a pretty good job with that debate. Obviously, we made every attempt to make it fair, and when one of the mayor's primary supporters said it was a fair debate, I think we really accomplished our mission, because when one of the mayor's strongest proponents and one of the biggest vilifiers of everything recall said that the debate was fair, it's an indication that we did what we expected to do, which was we kept the personalities out of it, we kept the personal attacks out of it. It required us to make some of the questions a little bit more general so every candidate could get it. But I think everybody got an idea of the people's style, personalities, and that has a lot to do with governing. I mean, you have to be a leader to be a mayor. And I think that, the questions were answered, and, it's going to be much the same in the next two debates. But I think that, they've got we set the bar pretty high yesterday.
I agree, Chip. And, I really enjoyed it. Even though Bill Rapley and Mark Curtis couldn't be there as moderators or members of the panel, they did show up to evaluate and to report on what happened with the debate. But we did make it as fair as possible. All the questions, not a few. We thought it was only going to be a few. But the panelists at the last minute decided that, nope, we're going to ask all the questions from the citizens. So every question that came in from the citizens of Fall River. And they were good questions. There were no questions there to bag anybody, to throw anybody under the bus. They were good questions, and I think that the people were very happy with the questions that were asked. I think they were disappointed with a few of the answers, but I think that they, for the most part, were very satisfied with the debate. And I agree, we did set the bar kind of high for tonight's debate at BK's Restaurant and Thursday's debate back at Morton by the Herald News. But Chip, what do you think? Who do you think won this debate? That's the question I hate asking, or the question I hate answering. So I figured I'd ask it before you asked me.
Oh, yeah. Sure, throw me in a frying pan first. Well, I think that the debate went pretty well, pretty much the way we expected it to go. The people who were what we consider primary candidates in this election. Everybody knows there are people with name recognition and that have to be considered the upper echelon of the candidates. They did what they were expected to do. Sean Kadim talked a lot about budgets and a lot about his experience now that he's in Seekonk and as an administrator, and he talked a lot about what the mayor did wrong. The mayor, of course, again, talked about the Fall River that he lives in, which is somewhere between Oz and Wonderland. But that's his prerogative, and they can all his people thought it was great when he talked about how great the city is and everything, and but Sam Sutter talked about his ability to lead, his record in the DA's office. But I will tell you, I was really, really surprised by, Mr. Anderson. He was very articulate. I understand he's a minister and an attorney, very articulate, understands government very well, made some, made some very good comments about government. I'm not sure if he really did a lot as far as what he would do as the mayor, but he made some really good comments about how a government should work, and they all did. Dave Dennis did well, and if you're going to ask me who I think won, I think that's a matter of perspective. I think everybody has to decide who they think won. I obviously have. What I'm looking at is, I understand what Sean Kadim is going to say because he feels that they're his strengths and stuff. But I think from a, somebody who showed that they're kind of a leader, they're very articulate. I would have to say that I believe that Sam Sutter came across as somebody who's very forceful, very, you can tell he's a kind of a, take the bull by the horns kind of guy. And you can see that he's used to leading as the district attorney, and obviously he has an advantage. He is a lawyer. He gets paid to speak, as does Dave Dennis. And I think he kind of had, from my perspective, as far as if I wanted to pick the guy who came across as someone who could take a city in trouble, and I think there were a few candidates that could do the job. I'm not saying anybody can't. My personal opinion is that the mayor that we need right now has to be someone who can make really tough decisions and be a leader, not kind of vacillate, not kind of put everything out to committee and not try to, because by the time we figure out what we're doing, his term will be over. We're in dire straits in this community. We really need to do something quickly and take some decisive action. And, my opinion was that I think that when I'm looking at someone who kind of displayed that and kind of really highlighted it, I think it was Sam Sutter. That's just my opinion. So now everybody can vilify me, all the supporters of everybody else can vilify me, but hey, it's my personal opinion. As I said, everybody picks the person that they feel can lead the city better. I feel that it was I think from my perspective, I think if you're judging it on my criteria, he won.
Well, I have to agree that Sam did come across as a very forceful. I mean, he took it right at the outset. Right out of the gate, he was very forceful, very demanding in saying, look at me. This is what I have to say. He was able to present the information necessary. He was very clear on what his intents were. And when he didn't answer a question without answering a question, you still got the impression that, this is the man who needs the job. I will say, if we have to call it out, it was, I think it was a neck and neck between books and personality. I think that Sam Sutter and Sean Kadim were the top scorers, if you're going to put a score on this. Sean Kadim had the numbers. Sam had basically the statements that needed to be said, what has to happen. But in regards to personality, there is absolutely no question about the fact that the mayor and his supporters took the debate at the end of the debate. They were so loud they drowned out the mayor's final statements, and we get that, and we can't always control it. Again, you were saying about a person who said that our debate was very fair. The only thing that he disliked was the fact that the people who supported and worked on the recall came out and booed the mayor. And I made it very clear on Facebook and in reply to his comments that every debate has its own group of individuals. You can't control the actions or behavior of the small groups or the individual. But all in all, that debate was excellent. But you have to admit there were some statements that were made which you have to look back at and you have to say, where did this come from? I think Ron Cabral said the best statement of all, And when he turned around and said that the mayor did not pay me to run for the office of mayor, you know, you have to laugh about it. But you know, that was a very interesting one. You had one that you picked up on during the debate, and you said, "I'm never going to forget this one." So, you know, it just made for a very interesting night. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, as far as the end of the debate, I mean, look, okay, you know, he can be upset with the fact that people were booing, but I think they were more or less, you know, it's like a basic law of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Those didn't start until they went absolutely bananas. It was like we were listening to the Sermon on the Mount. I mean, he was going with IKEA and, you know, and completely, you know, and obviously we have a recall, so everybody in the city isn't happy, but he was, again, on his everybody loves Will. I don't understand where these people are from. They must be aliens because they don't love me. And they got up and they were cheering him like he was the Messiah. I mean, it was just, you know, I mean, yeah, it was obviously orchestrated. It was planned. And you're right, they were very loud, and hey, okay. But, you know, they carried it a little too extreme. They could have cheered at the end, and, you know, but they kept going, and, you know, it was like, you know, it was like the end of a Broadway show. He was getting curtain calls, and then, of course, I guess in order to kind of quell that, the recallers began to make noise too, and ultimately the two noises canceled out. And you know something? Not a big deal. It was at the end of the debate. The debate was very civil. There wasn't a lot of, you know, the debate went very well. There was a little clapping here and there, and then they were told to kind of hold that down. And you know, all in all, at the end of the debate, they had all these pent-up emotions, and everybody wanted to, you know, I mean, his people wanted to be loud and vocal and rowdy, and so, you know, their antagonists, the recallers, chose to be loud and rowdy, and you know, that's just part of the process. It was at the end of the debate. It didn't harm anything. It's like, okay, you know, nobody got into a fist fight, or there were no altercations. It was just a lot of noise, and that's fine. I mean, it was at the end of the debate, and that was a good place. Everybody got to you know, to vent, get the, you know, blow the steam off. And that was it. It's a done deal. Now they can do it all over again tonight. But I think what was really good about the debate is we were introduced to some new people, and some people that you know, fairly, you know, they were fairly articulate. I mean, you know, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Mellon did a very, very good job. You know, you can tell they're bright. You know, they have their own opinions on government. And, you know, I think they're new faces you know, in the city, and they've participated in this election, and hopefully they'll stay involved because, you know, they showed that they're people of, you know, they have intellectual content, and, you know, they have ideas. And what I liked about them is they talked about the ability to not always agree and come up with a consensus opinion. And it introduced some new people, and of course, it also got the public. Not the partisan public, because the people that were there to support their candidates were there to support their candidates. But even those people got to see these people and the way they handle things and the way they answer questions, whether they agree or disagree. It gave them, you know, an insight to these people. I think Dave Dennis did a good job. And at the end, when he was doing his closing, I think he got really, really intense with that, saying that he challenges anybody to refute his record. He has the best record as a public servant. But this is what we need. We need a little bit of passion. We need a little bit of investment in the city. And I think that one of the greatest things that happened out of this debate is, you know, it introduced some new people into the process. And some of the people that have been in the process, we got a better look at their personality, you know?
Well, it's interesting. You know, as you said, Dave Dennis was very passionate. But you know, when you're looking at these people, you also see their political backgrounds and their political beliefs. I mean, when you look at Mr. Anderson, and I don't know whether to call him Attorney Anderson or Reverend Anderson. They kind of both fit together. But I think those two jobs would be, you know, colliding with each other. But he, in my opinion, is a constitutionalist. I mean, he was, very, very informed, very educated on the Constitution, on, the people's rights and what is happening. What I thought was very interesting, though, were those people who came out and said they do not support the recall, yet they're taking advantage of what the recall is bringing them.
Yeah, I think that was that kind of, and it was really good. Because you had that balance. You had Mr. Mellon, who said he didn't support the recall, but he was running in the election, which to me is kind of like a contradiction. But in other areas, he was fairly truthful, and he was truthful at least. But Mr. Anderson, which I thought was good because he closed on that question about the recall. Right after the mayor said it was bad government and it was this and that, because he's been, victim. People can have a recall because they don't like the color of your coat or your color of your eyes, which is an absurdity. That's the reason we've never really had a recall and got the signatures, because you have to do something really bad. And now they say the only thing should be high crimes and misdemeanors. I mean, it boggles my mind why politicians can do, an absolutely horrendous job and be almost guilty of malfeasance, and I believe he is guilty of malfeasance, and I believe Mr. Kadim basically kind of accused him indirectly of malfeasance and misappropriation of funds and not handling funds properly. But we can't throw them out of office. They got a job. They're like judges. They get a lifetime appointment. So you can't, you have to wait till the next election to get them out. And it's a travesty that we would dare to try to get him out of office before he serves out a full term. Well, if you work at Titleist and you steal half the golf balls there, you're not going to finish, your career at Titleist. If you don't do a good job at most things, you get booted out. And it was good because Mr. Anderson closed that because everybody got to speak. And he took the exact opposite. He talked about how it is government. People are the government. And how he felt the recall was justified. People were upset, and this is what people should do, be involved in their government, be invested. And he said, he is a constitutionalist. I think he's a little idealistic, in some veins, but very, very bright and articulate guy. And I think it was a really good balance to right after the mayor, got through with his 2 minutes of whining about poor me. Why did they do this to poor me? But that somebody put it not only in a political perspective, because Mr. Anderson put it in a perspective of how it relates to government. And I think that was really, really important. And if you watch the replay, listen to what he says, because it wasn't a political position he took. He took a position on how government should function. And as you said, he is a constitutionalist. And I think that he made some extremely good points. It was like getting a civics lesson. And some of the people in this country need to take civics again because they don't really know how government works. But that was the great thing about the debate. We had a lot of diversity. The candidates have their own strengths. And, that's what the process is about. You look at the people and say, do I want a guy that supposedly a numbers cruncher to run the city, or do I want a leader, or do I want... And that's why we have elections and people can pick the person they want. So I think, all in all, as I said, I think that people can complain because we didn't allow, personal attack questions, which, you and I both felt that was inappropriate. We don't want to hear about anybody's personal life or any other charges pending that are not relevant to the election and why this election took place because of the mayor's performance as mayor. And, that was a decision I think was the proper decision, and I think the fact that all the major media outlets, as you said, Bill Rapley was there last night, they showed up. They couldn't participate because of other commitments for the entire, they did get to the debate. And, we got high marks from everybody. And for the first time out of the gate, I think Spindle City did a hell of a job.
I have to agree. And, the thing that really got me about this debate, people were actually stunned I went up, I shook all the candidates' hands, and yes, I shook the mayor's hand. I shook the mayor's hand when he showed up for the debate. I spoke with the mayor before and after. You spoke to the mayor. People acted like, how can these guys speak to this guy? They don't like him. You know, they don't understand that personal is personal, business is business, and you know, maybe when they start separating the two, you know, Fall River will be a little more civil to each other.
Yeah, and you're right, and I think that you know, it showed that, you know, I shook the mayor's hand, and like I said, I don't you know, I don't agree with his politics. I don't think he's good at the job, but I don't hold any other personal malice against him, because you know, the fact is that, you know, it's like having a crappy auto mechanic. You try to get a new one.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to get a new mayor because I think he's a crappy mayor. And you know, and that's the thing. But you know what really I was really encouraged by? There were people sitting behind me who are supporters of a particular candidate. And when certain candidates made some answers, I heard some great comments. They were saying, wow, that was a really good answer. Wow, that was really good. And this is coming from a candidate they don't support. This is why I say you don't have to follow blindly and agree with everything somebody says. When you listen to other points of view, even if they're from people that you don't support, this is how people move forward, as I've said, about the thesis and the antithesis. And you got to listen to other points of view, because sometimes you may disagree with 95% of that point, but there may be 5% there that you can add and say, wow, that makes a little bit of sense. And it really encouraged me to hear people who, and I knew who they were supporting, and it wasn't the candidate that was speaking, but when Dave Dennis said something, or Sam Sutter said something, or Anderson or Mel said something that made sense, they were actually saying, well, yeah, you know, that was a good answer. So they were actually giving credit to people who they didn't support, which, like, wow, you know, this is part of becoming an educated voter, understanding the process, understanding. You know, every candidate is bringing something, you know, to the table. And
it would be nice, Chip, if, you know, we could find that one candidate that has a combination of all of them, make them all, you know, just the one candidate. But, you know, we also did a lot of things in fairness. As you know, Councilor Mike Mioza could not be there last night, and he wanted a statement read at the end, and we put that before the panelists and the moderator, and you went and put it before all the candidates that were present. And I believe it was basically a unanimous decision that a political closing statement would not be appropriate to be read for Councilor Mioza. But nobody had a problem with Phil Paleologos, who I want to give out a shout out to and a great big thanks, to read the fact that Councilor Mioza could not be present at the debate last night because of his responsibilities as a city councilor. So that was read into the record, for the lack of a better expression, and people accepted that. And you know, even the Mioza supporters were there said, well, at least it was presented, you know, honestly and truthfully why he couldn't be there. But you know, this wasn't set up so that we excluded anybody. This was just the way it was, and I'm very pleased with it. I want to thank Phil Paleologos. I want to thank Jess Machado. I want to thank John Caracas Dominici, I can never say his name, from WHTB, for being our panelists, all the candidates for being there, but more especially, I want to thank Michelle Dumas, Steve Reese, Adam, and Kevin for being there, putting this debate on the air, and all their work, because you know, it's stressful, it's, you know, a lot of work, and we had a great time doing it. They made it fun, and I had a wonderful time doing it with them. And of course, Keith Tebow, director of FRC Media, who was sitting back here in the studio, making sure that this debate went off without a hitch. And for our viewers, FRC Media will be re-airing on their website and on demand the debate. So if you want to watch it on demand, you can go to frmedia.org and go to the on-demand section and watch the debate on demand. And I spoke with Michelle over about re-airing it, and they will be re-airing the debates over the next couple of days, all of them, all three, so people can be informed and get the information. And I think that is important as well, because as you know, Chip, it's never easy when you're doing it alone.
No, absolutely not. And you did, you know, I said they all did a great job. They always do a great job. They do a great job every time we're in the studio. Anytime we need help, they always do a great job. And you know, you can't say enough about that. You know, these debates, people watch what's going on in front of the camera, but they don't realize what's going on behind the camera. There are a lot of people that invested a lot of effort into making this right. Even the people who were guarding the stairwells, so we didn't have a repetition of someone who was observing the debate charging the stage. So, but I mean, it all came together, and you're right. You know, we didn't schedule this debate to exclude Mike Mioza. It was the only date we could really get, and we didn't have a choice. It's unfortunate. It was his choice not to go, and fine. And you know, I think that, as you said, Phil did a great job. He's got a great voice. I mean, the guy's a radio personality because he's got that James Earl Jones voice. You know, he could do commercials and voiceovers and stuff like that. You know, the guy's got a really great speaking voice, and he's good in front of a microphone. He did a great job, and you know, so you know, people can say that. I know there were a few, when they gave the reason for Mike not showing up, there was a big ovation for Mike from his people, and that's fine. But I mean, you know, if there are people upset saying the debate was a waste, well, you know, for people who say any time you get to listen to people answering questions about the political process and you think it's a waste, I think maybe you might be the waste. So you'd better realize that the fact is that there is no information that's bad information. The more information you can get, the better decision you can make. And if you think something's a waste because your candidate isn't there or because you're not on camera, that's my opinion, but I think you're the waste.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, Chip. For first time out, we did pretty good, but this was as stressful as it could come for me. And, you know, I have to thank my family and friends who have supported me because, you know, with this leg, it hasn't been easy getting around and doing things. But, you know, even at the last minute yesterday, we had some signs that were missing, and I made a phone call to home, and those signs got printed out and got delivered. So, you know, a big thank you goes out to Doreen and Steven for all their great work. And our men in black, Mario, Christian, and CJ, no, not me. They were great. The Fall River Police were wonderful. The school department was wonderful. So we had a great time. And, you know, I can't give the kudos enough to everybody out there because this wouldn't have happened without the help of everybody involved. This wasn't a one-man show. And we brought the people the people's debate. And that's exactly what this was. It was the people's debate. And I don't know if I'm looking forward to doing it next year or not, but you know, we definitely have to see what we're going to do because
you and I both, CJ, because I'll tell you what, you know, it's going to be a hard act to follow for the first time out. I think it went pretty well, but I think that concept is good. I think that you know, citizens' questions, you know, have to be an integral part, and you know, and I think that. You know, the format was, you know, really worked out well, and you know, and I look forward to doing it again in the regular campaign season, because obviously I would like to also do this for city councilors and school committee people, and you know, because it's information to the public, and that's what we try to do. We make a lot of political commentary, but we also provide information to the public about what's going on. And I think the candidates in Fall River, you know, it's to everybody's best interest if they know all the facts about everybody.
That's true.
And with that, I would say, great job, CJ. Spindle City, we were proud to put that debate on, and thank you all for watching.
Thanks for watching.
The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producer.